I need people who are high net worth to support the generous social programs that we want to have in our state. Right? Now, there are some patriotic millionaires who stepped up. Okay, cut me the checks. I mean, just if you want to be supportive, but maybe the first step should be go down to Palm Beach and see who you can bring back home.
America, 3 days ago, the IRS dropped data that proves what every single conservative has been screaming about since 2022. When you punish the people who build things, they build it elsewhere. While Massachusetts is bleeding billions off its tax base, New York just watched their own governor beg Palm Beach to ship their taxpayers back. Come back, no. And instead of learning a single thing from that absolute humiliation, New York City's brand new mayor, Zohran Mamdani, just proposed something so fiscally suicidal that even its own city's Democratic comptroller stood up and said, wait, hold up.
So we're talking about 2023 because that's when this tax took effect. And in that same year, the state lost 41,000 residents. And with them, they took $4.2 billion in adjusted gross income.
What is up, guys? Tyson DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Here's the setup. Massachusetts voters approved a 4% surtax on income over $1 million back in 2022. They called it the Fair Share Amendment. Sounds neighborly. Rich guy pays a little extra. We fund some schools. Everybody wins. Except the rich guy actually read the bill, called a realtor in Florida, and then dipped out of there. In 2023, the first year that the tax was fully active, 41,000 residents walked away. But here's what the headline number doesn't tell you. This wasn't just people leaving. It was specifically the people the tax was built to target. The top income bracket, $200,000 and above, was responsible for 70% of that $4.2 billion that exited the state. They didn't leave despite the tax. They left because of the tax. Now you need to put a face to this number because the data without the story is just absolutely noise. Stephen Pagliuca, I think I'm actually kind of butchering that. Let me know down in the comment section down below. Former private equity executive, co-owner of the Boston Celtics. This is the type of guy that stood in TD Garden, waved the championship flag, talked about how much he loved Boston, changed his legal address to Florida in January 2023, the same month that the millionaire tax went into effect. Not a month before, not a year later, the same freaking month. That is not a coincidence. That is a man who did the math, just like a lot of people are doing the math, and made the decision. His goodbye letter was written with a different zip code.
With these taxes, the state is not signaling that these residents are, and their contributions and their investment in the state is either respected or welcome.
Notice what he said. Not high rates, not burdensome policy, punitive aspects to earning. That's the expert's way of saying the quiet part out loud here. That some of these tax structures aren't designed to raise revenue efficiently. They're designed to signal disapproval of the wealthy, and wealthy people, shockingly, don't stick around to receive the particular message. Now, here's where it gets genuinely funny in this is your tax money kind of way. Governor Healey is defending the surtax, and her defense is that it brought in $6 billion in revenue. She's not wrong about that number, but here's what she's not saying. Massachusetts fiscal health right now is sitting on an absolute razor's edge. In fiscal year 2024, the state collected $967 million more than projected from the surtax alone. Sounds absolutely great on paper, unless you understand what that actually means. Without that overage, the state would have run a $463 million deficit. The whole budget here was riding on a shrinking group of people who were effectively deciding whether to keep paying the money or not. That, my friends, is not a tax policy. That is a hostage situation where the hostage is in the car. Guys, I just want you to watch how she handles the direct question.
I think that we need to do everything that we can to lower taxes, and that's why in my first year I cut taxes. It was the first time we'd had a tax cut in over 20 years. I think we need to continue to look at ways to reduce the cost of living overall for people, and that's why, John, you know, I've been so focused on building homes and bringing more energy in and working on healthcare costs. It's an interesting time right now because while we talk about costs, our population's grown here by 120,000 people over the last 3 years. We do have some people leaving. And there are different reasons for that.
Did you guys catch the move there? She pivots. She pivots to population growth. 120,000 new people in 3 years. What she doesn't mention here, and what she cannot mention on camera, is that the domestic out-migration continued the entire time. The population increase was largely driven by the international immigration. You can replace bodies, but you can't replace venture capitalist tax contributions with somebody who just arrived as an illegal hombre. These aren't interchangeable people on a fiscal spreadsheet. One is funding programs and starting businesses. The other is using them and using them and using them.
Oh, it's a concern, right?
It
I
is.
mean, you want to have, it's a concern, and I'm working to address that. I mean,
Okay.
I'll tell you, the first thing, though, is with any revenue that's come in through that surtax, I want to make sure we're getting the very best ROI on that.
ROI, return on investment on your tax dollars. Just sit with that framing for a second. She's not saying we'll spend your money wisely. She's saying she's going to optimize her portfolio, which happens to be funded by the people who are, according to the 3-day-old IRS data, moving to Florida. You think that watching places like Massachusetts fumble its entire high-income base in live action would be enough of a warning sign for the rest of these blue states as a quote-unquote cautionary tale on what not to do as a case study. You would absolutely think that this is true. But in New York City, Zohran Mamdani looked at the situation and apparently decided what New York really needs is more ambition. His proposal here is drop the estate tax exemption for just over $7 million down to $750,000, a 90% cut in the threshold, and raise the top estate tax rate 16% to 50% after you are gone. Benito Burrito in New York wants to tax your death exit.
Mayor Mamdani is suggesting slashing New York's estate tax exemption threshold by nearly 90%. Under Mamdani's plan, the threshold would drop from just over $7 million to $750,000.
And here's what gets buried in the coverage of this. At $750,000, this isn't just a billionaire's problem anymore. In New York City, where home prices in multiple boroughs regularly exceed $700,000. So now you have a situation where a family that owned a brownstone for, let's say, 40 years, a family that is by no stretch of the imagination, quote unquote, wealthy, could face a 50% estate tax on what they're passing on to their kids. That, my friends, is not taxing the wealth. That is taxing the decision to keep your house and your family or not. And even New York's own financial watchdog, somebody who agrees with raising estate taxes in principle, publicly went on the record and said this is an absolute trap.
I do think that nationally we should raise the estate tax, both to bring in more revenue and for equity reasons. I think we should be very, very careful about doing it just in New York because people are mobile and they're potentially more mobile later in life when their kids are grown and they may be retired. And it would really undermine the whole purpose of a move like that if people left. We'd actually get less revenue. That would be bad for everybody.
The city's own comptroller, not a Republican think tank, not a Fox News contributor, a city Democrat money counter is telling Zohran Mamdani, people are mobile. They can leave. And when you end up with less than what you started, Bill Ackman put it clearer than anybody.
Bill Ackman saying Mamdani's strategy appears to make New York City an unattractive place to live and to die.
Unattractive place to live and to die. That is the full pitch here. Come to New York, work 70 hours a week, build something, pay your income tax, pay your property tax, their city tax. Then when you're gone, leave half of what remains at the door. That's not a city competing for talent. That's a city charging a cover fee to leave. Now, before we close out, I want to spend a minute on Kathy Hochul. What is going on with her face, by the way? Because this is legitimately one of the most clarifying moments in most recent history in governance. And I don't want you to miss it. 2 years ago, when wealthy New Yorkers were leaving for Florida, Hochul was very dismissive about it. Good riddance, she said. You're not a real New Yorker. If you want lower taxes, go. This year, Kathy Hochul went on camera and asked someone to please go to Palm Beach and bring them back home. 2 years. That's how long it took for the fiscal reality to override political posturing.
It's similar to just being like an abusive relationship. And she's telling these people who have fled some domestic
violent situation, come back to your abuser so we can abuse you more.
The metaphor landed because it's absolutely accurate. And here's the darkest part of it. While Hochul is recruiting people back, Mamdani is in City Hall designing the next round of abuse. The cycle doesn't end because the governor asked nicely at a press conference. But here's what neither Hochul or Healey will say out loud. And this is the part that matters most for regular people. Both states have built social infrastructure so vast that now it requires a steady supply of very wealthy people just to keep the lights on. New York spends $80,000 per homeless person annually, more than the national median household income per person. When people funding that math relocate to Palm Beach, who covers the gap? Not the people who just arrived, not the middle class that's already stretched. The programs don't shrink when the revenue does. They wait for the next tax proposal.
There will be 2 ballot questions this November in the state. One would lower the state income tax to 4% from 5%. And the other ballot question is capping how much state revenue can increase in a given year. Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey has blasted those 2 ballot initiatives, saying that it would create a multi-billion-dollar hole in the already tight state budget.
A tax cut creates a quote-unquote hole. That's the framing. Not reduces collections, not returns money to earners. A hole, a big old gaping hole. America, here's the part of the story that will not be on the front page. Massachusetts is now one bad year, one significant departure of major earners away from structural budget crisis. The entire surtax experiment works only if the people being taxed stay put in the area. The IRS just confirmed in 2023 alone, they didn't. And the Tax Foundation's own data shows Massachusetts has dropped from 36th to 43rd in state competitiveness since that ballot measure actually passed. You didn't fall 7 spots in 2 years by accident. What's coming? Nobody in Boston or Albany wants to say this, is a revenue cliff. The programs built on surtax overpayments don't come with an off switch. When collection normalizes because top earners have finished their quiet exits, the spending doesn't automatically adjust. It looks for the next group down to fund it. And it always does. California wrote the first chapter of this story. Illinois is halfway through it. Massachusetts just finished chapter 3. And Mamdani just cracked open a fresh notebook in New York. The IRS sent receipts. The governors are obviously ignoring them. And the people paying the tab are already reading Zillow listings in Naples. Follow the money, find the destination. This time, it's Florida. Every single time. Let me know what you think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.